Hello, my name is Tyler Evans, and today I'm going to talk about the capstone simulation Tableau assignment. And I was a part of Team Baldwin, and so I developed this Tableau dashboard, and hopefully it can help explain some of the trends that we saw during this assignment. So this is, here I'll start from the first slide actually, and we'll get to the dashboard. So I started out by making this bar graph that represents sales revenue for each company, and I have it broken down into rounds, as you can see. And so for us, Baldwin, you can see in round one we had the most sales and had the most sales revenue. So that was obviously a very good start for us, and that trend continued in actually the first three rounds and most of the rounds thereafter. So generally, you would think having the most sales revenue, we were pretty happy about that, but that obviously isn't the whole story. There's much more into it, costs and contribution margin and profit and all that, which we'll get into next. So the next worksheet that I created is a line graph, and this is the contribution margin that we had through rounds 1, 2, and 3. You can see starting out, this is us, Baldwin. At the end of round 1, we had the second lowest contribution margin. And so, given we had the most profit, or not most profit, the most sales revenue rather, it doesn't necessarily mean we had the most profit. And so generally, early on we wanted to invest as much of the profit and revenue that we had available to us and put it back into the company. And so as you can see, going to round 2, we did investments that would cut down the costs of our products that we sold, whether they were fixed costs or variable costs, administrative costs, labor costs, material costs, those types of things. And you can see at the end of round 2, we made some good headway, getting up close to that 30% benchmark, which is kind of what you want. And that's kind of what the average was. You can see the yellow here is the average. And at the end of round 3, due to these heavy investments, you can see our contribution margin shot up to over 40%, which was 5% higher than the second highest team. So once we got to this point, we were really on a roll, and our team was doing well and seeing some success. The next slide is profit from sales revenue per round. And basically what this shows, you have, round 1 here, round 2 in the middle, and round 3 at the end. And what I made is, a scatter plot here. You can see it has an average line here. So any of the companies below experienced negative profit. You got the average profit here, which was still in the negatives, and then anything above, obviously we were above on the first round, but we were still a negative profit. You can see the 0 here. So that continues to round 2. And round 2, even though we had the most sales again, we're the furthest team to the right, so we had the most sales. This is the average sales, and anything to the left of this line had less than the average, anything more to the right, and Baldwin being the furthest to the right, we had the most sales, yet we had the lowest profit, the highest negative profit. You can see we had 11,000 negative profit, but we had 150,000 sales. Well, that jump that I showed with the contribution margin in the last slide, that's all because of investments that we made, and we heavily invested in the early rounds, and it paid off in the later rounds. You can see in round 3 here again, we had the most sales revenue, like I showed on the very first slide, and round 3, when our contribution margin went up to 40%, well, now we have positive profit and more profit than anyone else.